mine and Dana's relationship started off kind of funny. The first time I met him, I looked right in his eyes and I said, "What the fuck, Dana?"
Welcome back to another episode of the Headhunters podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are joined by a very special guest. The welterweight competes at the welterweight division in the power slap. Waylon Ice Cold Frost. What's going on, man?
Just kicking it, man. Just got done eating some dinner and now just hanging out and yeah, just came check out the show, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Number one, I want to start it off by just getting your journey into power slap. What led you into slapping? I noticed you do have a background in martial arts, but you took the power slap route. What kind of led you to that?
So it was kind of I think I probably had like the least amount of knowledge out of everybody about like power slap or the slapping sport in general. Like I think I'd seen a couple videos on like Instagram and things like that, but no, I think we just got done training kickboxing uh one day, and Donovan Cross, who is he's a light heavyweight competitor, he had gotten a call from Frank, who's the president, like, hey, who would you recommend, or who would you refer? So Donovan sent them my number, and basically, kind of went from there. They flew me out to Vegas. I think I probably had like 2 weeks to prepare. I just said, let's try it, let's go out there, and just kind of handled business once I got out there, and here we are.
Yeah, and that's unique to me because I mean, like you said, you had 2 weeks to train for it. Um, a lot of people, I feel like, would maybe question that time frame. You seem to just walk on in there and do the job you were assigned to do. Was it a little scary knowing like you can't really defend yourself at all?
Now, I mean, y yes and no. I mean, I think that once I think that if you've been in like combat sports and you've taken hits, like, like I trained boxing and I sparred boxing, and I've taken hits, and I think, once you get more used to that, it's probably easier on you. But it's just I don't think it's so much the taking the hit that it's just like the outcome. Like no one wants to get knocked out, right? But you learn, like, if you've been knocked out, that, like, you're gonna be out for 15 or 20 seconds and you're gonna get back up. But I think that it's more just like a mental thing, it's just that mental game that you play with yourself. Because Donovan, I think, described it the best. Is like, it doesn't matter who you are, how good you are at the slap game, how many times you've done it. You're basically like a 50-50 chance you can go out there and get knocked the fuck out. So, like, we saw Darius, who had never lost before, he's 17-0, and at Power Slap 1, he goes and gets knocked out on the first hit. So, that's kind of the thing. It's just about how much dog you have in you, and just, not being afraid to go up there and, be ready for any outcome.
Yeah, and the the situation itself is kind of different. I follow the UFC very closely. That's all the guests I've had on my podcast. Um, Noticed Power Slap, was very interested in it. Watched both one and two, um, and a lot of people I see on the comments or people who do like a recap of it, they talk a lot about the safety aspect of it,
Right.
and it's interesting to me that it could be decided by just a coin toss. Um, and I noticed when I was watching a little bit on you, you hadn't won a coin toss since your first Power Slap one, basically.
Right.
Does that make you a little nervous going into that coin toss? Like, if I don't get this, I might not get the slap.
No. Um, no, I mean, I could see, like, that makes sense, like, yeah, I could see why someone would be nervous about that. But I mean, like, no, I mean, I go up there to win every time, and I don't ever expect to get knocked out. I mean, I've been knocked out one time. It was the second shot I took from Chris Thomas. But like, I never, like, whether I win the coin toss or lose, I always expect that I'm gonna be, like, giving one back. So it's like if I lose, I'm just like, all right, I got to eat one. That's basically what it is. But I can see how some people like. I do know that there was a dude who was down to go, and then he lost the coin toss, and then some things happened, and he couldn't make it because of whatever. So I think that there is some dudes who maybe let that affect them or scare them out of it. But for me, it's like it's part of the game. Um,
Yep.
that's part of the game. You win some, you lose some, and it's for me. I'd almost honestly rather you know if I'm going to knock somebody out on the first hit, I'd almost rather have to hit second. Because then you show that you can eat theirs and then knock them out. So yeah, it is what it is. I think that the crazy thing is I think a lot of us guys enjoy eating the slaps as much as dishing them out. Just showing that we can do it. So I think but we're all crazy dudes who get slapped in the face. So
Yeah. Yeah. And on top of that, I mean, you get to the coin toss and you might lose it, you might win it. Um, and then I wanted to also dive into the aspect of like your technique. Some people go on two, some people go on three. I watched a guy who would only do one.
yeah,
Um, is that the lining up and the slapping aspect of it? Is that a true technique, or is that more of just like
for sure. Or
icon, like intimidating for show?
yeah,
Yeah,
no, it's absolutely technique. I will like one way. So like Devin Schwann, he's a light heavyweight competitor, and I think he described it best as like we basically learned how to we taught ourselves how to punch each other with an open hand. I mean, these it's not like getting slapped in the face by like your friend or something. Like we packing some power. Dudes are getting knocked out. 40% of these fights, 43% of fights, dudes are going to sleep. So yeah, there's technique and there's ways to generate more power and that I don't know. I know that Slap Jesus he goes on one, and I know he was able to win like four fights. I think he won his first four fights or something. Um, I think he had the most wins in Power Slap when I beat him. I think he's like tied for the most. And but other than him, like I don't really see anyone else going on one and having really any success. I think that the windups help, with like your accuracy and like for me, if I was going one, then I'm gonna be thinking too much about like trying to land perfect. That I may not get as much power. I may move my feet or something, but I feel like once I get myself in that motion, by the third time I go, and it's just I've already it's gonna help. So for me, I'll probably always go on three. But it's the other things work for other people. So I think, yeah, it is definitely technique and not just for show.
yeah, yeah. I assumed it would be, but like I said, some people go on one and three, so I wasn't completely sure.
Yeah.
It's all very new to me as well. So, um, but yeah, let's kind of take a step further. You said you practice kickboxing, you spar boxing. I see that you do jujitsu as well, or you have?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Have you even thought about maybe transitioning into the UFC or martial arts
So,
or MMA?
I mean, this is like, yeah, I think the first promotions that I'll do, the first is down here. I live in Payson, Arizona, and we're about 80 miles from Phoenix, Arizona. Um, and down there they have like raising the cage, like Muay Thai fights and stuff like that. So that'll probably be first ones I do. As far as like UFC and stuff, I mean, I don't have a professional fight under my belt, so I'm not like I get that question a lot, like, oh, what if the UFC comes calling? It's like, man, there's a lot of people that have put in more work than me, so I'm sure I'm not on their radar. So, but I mean, someday, eventually, like, if I was able to, continue to progress in that career and they came calling, then absolutely. But I think one thing that's different for me than like a lot of these like guys who slap or guys who do boxing and stuff in general is like I enjoy the sport of it and I enjoy challenging myself and I enjoy like the masculine, shit. I don't know, can I cuss on here?
Yeah,
Okay, all
absolutely.
right,
Yeah.
but I'm sorry. But I just like enjoy that masculine shit, like I love challenging myself and like as far as like boxing and jujitsu, I just fell in love with the sport. I'm not like one of these guys who like my whole life is about fighting and I want to be a fighter. It's not really that. It's just I love the sport of it so much. I just like enjoy challenging myself. So that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah. And it does it give you some confidence knowing like I can take a hit and like
Yeah,
knowing that I can take somebody's full force. Um, you've already known that kind of through your sparring and boxing. But I mean, it's a little different when you're just standing there ready to eat it. You're not even able to duck or
right.
anything. So I'm sure you boost your confidence.
Yeah, it's it definitely, especially if you eat, three of them, by the end of it, you feel like, nothing can knock you down, of course. So yeah, it absolutely helps your confidence. And yeah, you get that, you feel like a badass when you're walking off that stage if you just had a board and went 3 or 5 rounds of, I mean, of course. And yeah, like I think that even when I first started getting into like boxing and I was getting hit, for the first couple times, like that was when I learned, like, man, this shit ain't that bad. Because like I said, I wasn't one of these people that like grew up and like was obsessed with fighting. I'm not one of those guys. I can't pretend like I was. But once I did get into it, like I learned, like, like this, I love this shit. Like it's great. And I learned that, you can take hits. I used to be like, I wasn't like scared of fighting when I was younger, but I used to think it was crazier than it actually is. Like, you can take hits and yeah, it's great.
Yeah, and especially when like you said, you step in there, you take three of them, and I'd say you're probably walking out of there. I mean, with a headache or something like that,
You,
I don't know. I would have.
the crazy thing is, like the most pain, like I've been knocked out one time. I've been knocked down only by Chris Thomas when I got knocked out. And I didn't have like any pain, like, like lingering pain from that. I went to the Las Vegas hospital. They sent me there to get checked out, like get an MRI and everything, and they said I like didn't even really have concussion symptoms. And I didn't have lingering pain the next day. But like I went 3 rounds with Slap Jesus, and I had a bit of a headache, but like the most pain I think it just depends on the slap, and just yourself. Because like my fight against Alex Asbury, I got hit one time, and I had like a lingering like little ache in my jaw for like 2 or 3 days, and that's probably the worst I've had out of any fight. So it's different, man. It's weird. It's different every time.
Yeah, and I watched both yours, and you didn't seem as swollen as some people get.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, the one fight I watched, the dude's whole face was like it was like a baseball.
Yeah.
Um, it like that I it's hard for me to like comprehend that and to hear like you say I had no lingering pain, I had no headaches. That's crazy to me. But what are you really trying to hit with on your hand? Like are you trying to just catch the flat palm or are you trying to catch a
So
little bit of like your
you and the rule, like there's a clean, for it to be a clean slap, your fingers, your palm, and the base of your, they really, you're not supposed to be hitting with the base of your palm, but like your fingers and your hand are supposed to connect the mid center of your palm simultaneously. That's a clean slap. They have to hit at the same time. So if you're throwing palm strikes, or even if you're cupping your fingers, you're doing something like that, that's uh, going to be called for a club if they see it. Now, so I mean that's basically what you have to have a clean, and pretty much every slap that you see is, the base of the palm is going to be above the chin. 'Cause just everyone you see, that's how it is. But per the rules, they want that line to be underneath the chin. It just, we don't really ever see it. So, um, yeah, you want to be, now. I noticed like some guys have different methods. Some guys like they want to send their hand through their guy's face and like almost push them down. Or I've heard Darius say that his goal when he's slapping someone is to, try to like have like an arc effect and like try to push their head down when he slaps. Me myself, I just try to go hard and fast straight through their face. So I think everybody has like a different type of technique, because for me, I think what's going to knock somebody out if you have them right on the button, um, is speed. Just speed and power. So I try to send my hand through their face as fast and clean as I can. I just try to get them, right clean on the button. But I know other guys have different techniques. So yeah, that's for me. It's just trying to be hard and fast, man. Hard, fast, and clean.
okay. And I did want to kind of dive into the clubbing, stepping, all of that. Though the last Power Slap 2 I watched had a lot of fouls.
Yeah.
Um, some a decent amount of clubbing, stepping. Um, I know they're trying to keep it from, in my opinion, from people like putting all of their weight into it. Um, do you find it pretty hard to not club or to not step, or they even were I think it was Bisping was talking about the heel coming up too much. So like, do you find any of that hard to kind of avoid, or what's that kind of like?
So yeah, I mean it's tough because you want, especially like if you just got slapped, you know, and like you just want to put this guy out, you know, like your opponent, you want to do everything to put the dude out. You want to continue to keep getting hit. So yeah, it's, I mean it's tough to like if you try it, you know, go and slap a bag and try to slap it as hard as you can without, you know, and as much power without lifting your heel. It's very tough. Because especially if you have a background in combat sports, because you know first thing you're taught in boxing, you know, when you throw your hook, you pivot your foot. You know, it's how you get more
Mhm.
power. So, um, yeah, it's very tough. Now me, I don't really like as far as the accuracy. I think we definitely don't see as many clubs as we do stepping fouls, and I think um, for me myself, the accuracy as far as hitting is not an issue with me. I've never clubbed anybody. Um, But the keeping the heel on the ground, that's the toughest part for me. Absolutely. I mean, I got disqualified in my first fight. I knocked dude out, but I lifted my heel like too far, so it's tough.
Yeah, and it looked hard because they were doing some slow mos and I mean some of them even looked like by just a sliver their heel came up like above the line or whatever they're looking for.
Yeah.
Um, and it's kind of that give and take. But oh,
Oh, sorry, brother.
oh, you're good, you're good. But to kind of like take a little step back, when you first got into Power Slap and you got your first, do you guys call them fights or matches?
They're called fights. As far as
Okay,
like how they, either way, I think it's gonna be the like same thing, but like they say fights when we're there, so yeah, either
okay,
way.
yeah. So you have that first fight and you kind of get that over with. What were your thoughts kind of after that? Like, was this something that you felt you were like not born to do, but called to do? And did you feel like really going to take off?
No, man. Like to be honest with you, is like it was almost just like it was like a very like personal thing for like myself. Like I just wanted to like I just saw it like this great opportunity. I was like I've just been wanting to challenge myself, man. Like, you know, like that's why I got into this all this combat sports stuff, and you know, I want to challenge myself and just like bring that dog out in me, man. So like it's really just a personal thing with myself. I felt like I was competing with myself the entire time, especially like when we were there like in the mansion staying there for the TV show.
Hmm.
You know, I was just the whole time just like, you know, like I told myself once I got in there, I was like, man, if this is it, I'm gonna take it 100%. I'm gonna try to be the champion. No, I'm gonna try to be number one. I'm not gonna come here and just like enjoy my 15-minute free ride. So yeah, like it wasn't like one of those moments like, man, like I was born to do this or this is my calling and it finally came, but it was like, you know, this is an opportunity that I'm gonna take, just to prove to myself that I can fucking do it, you know.
Yeah, yeah, and I was gonna get into the mansion, but you brought it up, so we can do that now. Um, just kind of walk me through that. I mean, you ever watched The Ultimate Fighter before?
Yeah, yeah, I have. It was it was wild. You know, the crazy thing is the tough 31 guys, they're staying actually in our same place we were staying in now. But yeah, it was crazy. The thing is like I didn't even know that we were going out there to do this for a TV show. Like my even when I got on the plane, I was like having thought I was gonna go out there for like one match. You know, I didn't know any of this shit was gonna happen. So after you know Dana comes into the like I was sitting at a table eating, and then a couple camera guys walk in, and someone they like clear all the food off my table and like wait right here for a minute. And then Dana comes in, he's like, "Man, we're gonna put you in the house." I was like, "Okay," you know. And then I get the news like, "Yeah, no, you're gonna be out here for a couple more weeks, and we're gonna have some fights and TV show." I was like, "Oh shit," you know. So it was I think everyone else who was there knew what was going on, but like I didn't, you know. I like literally showed up there and fucking it was all news to me. So yeah, I mean it was wild and as unexpected as it could have been for anybody. That's how I experienced it. And they uh they treated us pretty much just like the tough guys, man. Like we all got like a little paper in the morning, like whatever we needed, you know, whatever type of food or, you know, anything we wanted, we just write it on there and they give it to us. And it was just back and forth from the mansion to the apex and, you know, for training. And when we weren't training, we were just, you know, kicking it with the guys and playing pool or shuffleboard and stuff like that. Um, the crazy thing is, it's less than 1% of like everything they filmed like actually got shown on TV. So
Oh, really?
yeah, less than 1% of the film is actually made it to air. So yeah, it was a wild time. I think like they definitely portrayed some things like how they wanted to, you know, like
Yeah.
but yeah, I think for the most part it was a great experience. I mean, once in a lifetime type thing. It'd be tough to do it again, but definitely glad I did
Did
it.
you have your
What's that?
Did you have a phone or TV with you in the mansion, or are you pretty much taken away from reality?
Taken away from like World War III could have been going on and we would have had no idea. Like I'm telling you,
Did
man,
your
we
family, when you got there, did your family know, like, or when you found out like you're staying there, and you did you call your family and be like, "Hey, I'm going to be here for 2 weeks"?
yeah, so I was able to have my phone for like a day and a half when I was out there, but it was like right when I got out there I had it for the first day and a half. And I let them know I was like, "Hey, I was like if you don't hear from me, um, like on Thursday, whenever the first fights were, I was like, if you don't hear from me on Thursday, I was like, things went well. I was like, you know, don't expect to hear from me for like 3 weeks. I was like, that means everything went well. So that was basically what it was. But just to like give you an idea of like how badly we were like going crazy in there. So one day we were driving back from the Apex, like just got done training, and we're going through like the neighborhood to get to the house, and there's some little league baseball games going on, like maybe you know 7, 8, 9-year-old kids playing baseball, and I mean like this whole group of like grown ass men is just like shaking this van, like please like stop, like let us watch baseball, like you know just please let us out, let us do fucking something other than sit in that house. So that gives you an idea of like how cooped up we were in there.
Yeah, I mean, how? So what was your like day in the life in there like then?
Wake up and like eat, you know, pretty much everybody first thing we do we wake up and get like we'd all be in the kitchen and eating and um for me myself like we'd usually go to training at like I think the other team would be like 11:30 a.m. and we'd be like 1:30 p.m. But in between training and being at the house, it was mostly just eating and like getting to know the guys, just sitting around bullshitting, talking about life. And you know, I was in there with 21 guys I'd never met before. You know, I didn't know any of these dudes, so it was a lot of like talking to them, getting to know them, seeing like you know where I fit in. Um, and yeah, like it's boring as shit, you know, sometimes, and then sometimes it's super exciting when you know, especially when you know the fights were going on inside the house. So you never know what you would get, but I think that every fighter went through like the same emotions to where like this is great and then this is horrible and I want to leave and I want to get out of here, but then when it's time to leave they're like, man, this was so great, this was fun. So it's just one of those
Yeah,
things.
yeah, and did it help a little bit, like going through it with everybody else? I mean, it's kind of that thing, like if you're gonna go through hell, you want to go through it with your boys. And I'm sure when you were in there, you were like, okay, I'm one of 21 other guys that's experiencing the same shit I am. So I'm assuming that helped you a little bit.
Yeah, and like also like you realize that like a lot of these like dudes were like cool ass dudes and made like super easy, you know, like I wasn't sure like because it's 21 egos, you know, and 21 like testosterone, you know, filled dudes that haven't got to talk to their family for when we got into the house. It'd already been a week, you know, since we'd been able to talk to anybody, so you really don't know what you're gonna get. um but it made it easier with like pretty much everybody was cool, you know, like there's probably one dude in there that you know I didn't like, and it turns out that pretty much nobody does. But like we had like one shithead in there, like That's like yeah, everyone was real cool, especially like Robert Trujillo and like Azael and Emmanuel. Like we all just like kind of clicked or whatever. I didn't know any of these guys, but and like Robert being a professional fighter, I was able to like learn some things from him. We'd like roll. That's another thing we do during the day is like we'd roll around or do some jujitsu or whatever. And so yeah, it was cool, man.
What was it like getting to meet Dana?
So my and Dana's relationship started off kind of funny. The first time I met him, I looked right in his eyes and I said, "What the fuck, Dana?" Like, because I had just gotten off the stage after the Alex Asbury fight, and I lost, out of technicality because my foot raised, and like I was livid, man. I was seeing red, because I was like, clearly I just won that fight. I put dude on his ass twice, and he stepped when he hit me too. They called a stepping foul on him, and he couldn't put me down. So I just felt like I got robbed, But I did lose the fight. I did step, and I'll accept that now. But at the time, I was like super hot about it. And I'm sitting there in the medical chair, and they just give me my check or whatever. And I look up, and Dana White walks in the room, and I just stand up. I'm like, "What the fuck, Dana?" I was like, "You saw what happened in there," and I was pissed. And he like tried to calm me down and reason with me. And he's like, uh, we'll see what we can do. We might keep you in Las Vegas as an alternate. And I was like, no. I was like, I need to be in the house. I was like, you saw that. I was like, obviously I need to be in there. And then I don't know, 30 minutes later or something, they brought me into another room and he came in and said I could go to the house. So yeah, it was kind of like a roller coaster meeting him.
Yeah, and he seems like such a straightforward. Like you see all of his interviews, he's like, I don't give a shit what people think.
No BS type of guy.
He Yeah, I mean, he has sworn by power slap. He's had so many people come at him for it. He's like, I know exactly what this feeling's like going through with the UFC. Meeting him and getting to know him on a personal level. Was there anything that shocked you about him, or was he pretty much the same guy you thought he was going to be?
Pretty much the same. Yeah, he's about the same dude I thought he was going to be. And like, I have had a few conversations with him. I shook his hand a few times, but like, I also can't sit here and act like I like know Dana on a personal level. I can't like, oh, Dana's my guy. I'll call him right now. It's not like that. But no, yeah, I feel like he's a straightforward, like no BS type of dude. Pretty much what you see is what you get. Yeah, he doesn't like put on a show for like the cameras. He just he knows entertainment. Like if Dana has like a vision or an idea, like he knows what he's doing. I can say that about him. And like you can just tell he's always so focused. Like you see him walk around the apex and stuff, and you can tell like he's never there just like just lounging around or like, he's never there just enjoying the moment. Like he's always there like working. Like he's always head down like there to do something. So yeah, man, it's like the perfect guy to be behind too because he makes shit happen.
Absolutely. Yeah, he every time I hear him talk or watch him on a post fight conference, I mean I get excited to hear him talk.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean I got a few more to kind of ask about, and one of those is definitely going to be the safety of it. A lot of people, there's been some doctors online or whatever the internet wants to say, saying like it's very bad for you, um, especially because you really can't defend yourself. It's bad for your neck. It's bad for your back.
yeah.
Have you taken into account any of the safety, or have you sat back and been like, damn, maybe this is kind of rough for me?
I mean, it's never good to get hit in the face in any type of fashion, right? So I understand that. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and be like it's completely safe because it's not.
Mhm.
But it's some we're all grown men, and it's something that is the risk that we take. I think you can weigh your risk versus reward. And I think that everybody does it for a different reason. So there's some guys out here who have been able to like change their families' lives doing this shit. So some some of them be able to go from like their situations to how much this has helped them. I'm sure they wouldn't like, oh, if you told them in a few years your neck is going to be fucked up, they're going to say, yeah, I'm still going to do this shit. That's not my reason. Like for me, it's like, man, I love it, dude. Like I love the adrenaline. I love the feeling I get when I win. Like when I put myself to the test and I win, I love that feeling. I'll trade that for any type of damage to say I'm going to get. Now, if I'm not gonna like if I was sitting there getting punched in the face or like I wouldn't stand there and like in some extreme sport and like get hit in the head with a baseball bat or something. I'm not a retard, but or I mean, sorry, but you know what I'm saying. I'm not that dumb, but like yeah, I it's those doctors can go and tell boxers or UFC fighters or NASCAR drivers or anybody the same thing because all these sports are dangerous, man. But it's just that's what this world is today. When something like the first thing people want to do is hate on something as soon as it comes out, like they just want to find every reason to tear something down. It's like this shit's life changing for a lot of people. So, no matter what that reason is, that's how I look at it.
Yeah, and I was gonna get into the whole aspect of it changing your life. What has Power Slap done for you that you hadn't seen it doing before?
Um, the recognition, I mean, is very real. The exposure. I mean, I definitely like it. It's pretty wild. Like, on my birthday, like getting messages from people that I've never met before in different countries, like telling me happy birthday, or when people like see me like after my last fight in Vegas, we went out to the strip and it seemed like we couldn't walk from one place to another without people recognizing us. So like that's great, and it's awesome to like have people messaging me and telling me they support me and like or people telling me like like what you guys do is awesome. Um, so that's been life changing. The money is obviously, it's nice. That helps, of course. Um, but yeah, also for me, it's just like another way that I can um, put myself to the test and be able to bring that value. That's what I love about it the most is like that feeling, like feeling like a warrior when you're walking on that stage and when you're walking off that stage. That's why I do it.
Yeah, and I've always been curious with each fighter, anybody that does Power Slap. Um, do you work outside of it? I mean, what's your life outside of Power
Oh yeah, I
Slap?
mean, I haven't been able to retire off of the winnings yet, but yeah, no, I definitely work. I did commercial and residential restoration for years, and then I got into selling life insurance, and I moved back to my hometown to sell life insurance, and also my brother-in-law worked at a plumbing company, and they need some help, so I help them with plumbing too. So yeah, I do work. I have a full-time job, so and plan on keeping that. But it's like Slap is almost perfect for like the blue collar guy because you can you can get plenty of slap training in and still have a full time job down.
Yeah, and I'm definitely gonna get one of your hats too. I saw that on your
The blue
Instagram.
collar
I
hustler,
believe. Yeah,
absolutely,
yeah.
brother. Yeah, we
I
got
want.
one right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna get one of those. Definitely want to support that as well.
Hell yeah.
Um, But on top of that, is there anything else that I or any of the fans should know about Power Slap? I mean, where do you see it going from here on out? Do you see it getting to the same platform as the UFC?
Uh, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, so Power Slap is exclusively on Rumble. So that's where you're gonna find it. And Rumble is just like YouTube, just better. And
Yeah,
I'm not paid to say that. It's just much better than
yeah,
YouTube. So you can watch it on there for free. You can download it on any phone or TV or any app. It's for free. You can watch any previous matches. You can watch, obviously the upcoming matches. And I see Power Slap. I mean, it's already at the top, man. It's the most talked about thing. It's the most talked about thing, whether they're hating on it or loving on it. Everyone's talking about it. We blew every sport out of the water as far as social media views and digital sales and things like that. I mean, it wasn't even close. So I can expect it to continue growing, and I don't think it's going to be long until we see Power Slap in the AT&T centers in Las Vegas or in the Talking Stick Resort or Footprint Center here in Phoenix. Like other states have already approved it. We're getting signed on. I believe it's already like 8 states and like six more that we're working on. So Power Staff is going to hit the road, and we're going to come to a city near you, and it's just going to get bigger and bigger. And eventually, yeah, I think UFC is UFC 289 is coming up, right? And we know where the UFC was when it was at UFC one. There was a business that was not nearly as close to where it is now, and I think when Power Slap gets up there, it's just going to continue to grow.
Yeah, and I'm for it. I love watching it. I showed my dad, and he was enjoying it. Um, it's it's definitely something that people who like the UFC are probably going to like Power Slap. And we see the fans in the UFC; they are insane.
Even the UFC
So
guys like it, man.
yeah, yeah, and I mean the fact that you still have Bisping commentating on it and stuff like that just kind of shows the people behind it.
Absolutely.
But what's next for you in Power Slap? I mean, you got anything coming up soon?
So, we're working on it. We're we're trying to find me a match. So I'm still ranked number one, and I'm ready for a title shot, and we're working on it. So, and I'm not sure if you know what's going on in our division, but our champ is on the shelf, and he can't compete right now. So it's kind of got me in a pretty messed up position here. So we're gonna see what happens. Well, it's looking like I'm probably gonna have to do another fight before a title shot. So it's looking that way. And that's probably what's going to happen. I know we have another card coming up on July 7th, so we're going to work it out with the decision makers and see what happens. I don't have a guaranteed fight for you right now of who it's going to be, but soon we'll have that information.
Got you guys going the day before International Fight
Yeah,
Week? That card?
yeah, yeah. We're going International Fight Week the day before. Yeah, that Friday. So yeah,
That's. I mean, he's brilliant.
the exposure is going to be crazy, man. Like it's
Yeah,
going to be
that's
crazy.
insane. And can you buy tickets to that, or is that still going to be at the Apex?
I'm not sure. I don't know that yet. I do know that I think they're gonna have us at a different hotel this time. Um, so they're switching some things up, but I imagine it's still gonna be at the Apex because I haven't seen tickets for sale or anything. So your guess is as good as mine, brother. I do not know.
All good. Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. Before I get everybody out of here, I like to ask them a couple questions. Just kind of outside of the fighting realm.
Yeah.
Um, they're more just questions that I'd like to hear your answers on. But if you could have any dream car, what would it be?
Ooh, dream car.
Any dream
Yeah,
car?
any dream car. I think probably probably Paul Walker Skyline. In Too Fast, Too Furious, the second movie, that Skyline, probably that car. Yeah.
Okay. If you could own any exotic animal, what would it be?
Any exotic animal. Oh man. Obviously, I'm not like super. Oh, actually, a lion. A
Okay.
lion.
And then last but not least, any dream vacation, where would you take it to?
Ooh, man, I've been itching to go to Hawaii, but I think if I could go anywhere, probably Iceland. Maybe probably Iceland. That shit just looks beautiful, and yeah, probably Iceland.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no right or wrong answers. Um, on that note, I'll get you out of here. Again, I appreciate you coming on. I'm excited to see what the future holds for you and Power Slap. Definitely be on the lookout. And I appreciate you coming on here and just letting everybody know what it's about. And being a promoter for it because there's a lot of people out there who are hating on it already.
Yeah.
But they haven't watched it and it's pretty enjoyable to watch. So
Yep.
I appreciate that as well. But anything else you'd like to say before you get out of here?
Yeah, I just want to thank you for having me, man. This was great.
No
I
problem.
love these podcasts, these interviews where we can just relax and just have a nice conversation, dude. This is great. Also, I want to thank you not just for having me, but like I thank all the guys that do this for like your guys' efforts because you guys also help spread our sport and you help spread our stories. So without you guys, it makes it a lot tougher on us. Like we wouldn't have any names without guys like you. So I appreciate you, man.
No, I go the same way, man. I appreciate you as well. But I'd like to get you back on here after your next one, so I'll look forward to that.
Hell yeah, brother.
And wish you the best of luck, man.
Hell yeah, brother. I look forward to it. We'll talk soon.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep, later.